we're also, you can get your degree. I'm currently working on my master's degree in divinity and political science for Timothy Bible College, at Timothy Bible College. This is it's not, I started to use the term homeschooling, but it's not. It's educating you. Now the words that Thomas Jefferson, who helped found this country, wrote our Declaration of Independence, helped write our Constitution. He created a Bible with the words of Jesus in it. Took out everything else. Took out all the words of Paul, everything else. Just how it did the Thomas Jefferson Bible. And I think that was a good thing. I think that was a good way to go. And it's what we're talking about. When I say come to church, I'm not talking about the religiosity. I'm not talking about getting up, dressing up in a suit and going to the Baptist church where you can't dance. You might be committing a sin to dance. And this is what you get in Timothy Bible College. This is the education you get, and this is what you get if you come to a Way Church meeting. This is all right here in Texas right now, just outside of Austin. We also have the Truth Seekers meeting, which has been meeting here. They've been meeting here for years. I spoke here when I was doing the magazine. And that's happening here. So, I'm surrounded right now by positivity. The problem with my relationship was that the person I wanted to have a relationship was just a little bit negative. That was coming from inside, not coming from external. Not being external. It wasn't being able to deal with our own faults. My fault, I got a temper, I get angry quickly, and I will get my point across. Don't hit no one, didn't hit no one, won't hit no one. You want to fight with me? You get the first swing. After that, God help you. But it's everything that I'm doing here, Mesa, having you on, including, is to do something positive, to try to give you a way to deal with massive evil. And this is evil. I mean, even the Bible tells us that we're in a battle of principalities. What the government and the Zionist-run government is and banking system is trying to do is keep you afraid, keep you sick, keep you down, and hide from you the simple fact that Mesa gave you in our first segment here, that God is within us. This original sin is religiosity, in my opinion. It's religiosity. You're born a sinner, so you need us. You need us. Be sure and send money.
That's right. And it's the big danger is that we will realize the God in us. That's the big danger. And the interesting thing, you mentioned abortion. There are supposed to be over 10,000 God-realized souls coming into this planet, over 10,000 of them, which would literally raise the vibration of the whole planet, which would enable us to get to this new age that we're moving towards. And we're in a very critical point right now, because there's no guarantee that the vibrational rate of the planet can raise enough to get us into that new age. And so these 10,000 avatars, or God-realized beings, well, what's happening with all these abortions? Some of these light beings that are so badly needed on the earth are being aborted. They don't want them here. The danger is that people will become God-realized. We will understand God is in us. We will understand how to tap into that. We will understand what power that has. And it is really, really important that we stay positive with all of these things that are going on. Because if we stay in fear and we stay negative, we're pretty much lost. And so all of these things are so vitally needed on the planet. And we are in a big fight. It's definitely a big fight. And it's projected we're going to make it. It's projected that the planet's going to make that leap, that we're going to go into this next golden age, but it is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. And we're ending this 25,600 year cycle we're ending a 5,200-year cycle, we're ending a 2,500-year cycle, all at the same time. And whenever those cycles are ending, the karma, the burden that has been placed on the planet that has not been taken care of because of mankind's thoughts and actions and words and deeds, it all gets dumped down. It all gets dumped down, and we have to deal with it in order to not take it into that next level. We can't take that with us. We have to either transmute it somehow, or it holds us back and we don't get into that next stage.
Now, I've been looking at a lot at talking about love and the level of vibration and vibrational energy. The science is coming to the point, I believe it's called quantum physics. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of snapping to the fact that the atoms that make all matter, including us, is a bunch of empty space.
Right.
What holds an atom together? To me, that is God. And because what's that?
They're calling the quantum field the mind of God.
Yes. And as it is above, so it is below. Our physical representation of that we're on right now. It's called the internet. And you know, I've said I believe. First of all, I don't believe God stopped talking to us 2,000 years ago.
I don't either.
And I believe God is alive and well on the internet, because what I get every time, whatever when I find a story, just as we were going to talk about today about the vaccines and the GMOs, it's like appears on my screen. Somebody somewhere sent me an email. That is, to me, that is the mind of God, and that's what we ought to be teaching in our churches and our schools, and that's what we do teach at Timothy Bible College.
Amen to that. And I'll tell you, I'm a certified matrix energetics practitioner, and what we learn through that is how to tap into that field of all possibilities. And it's incredible what can happen. And we never know, if someone may come to me with a particular problem, and I say, well, we can address that. There's going to be a change. You're going to get a change. I don't know exactly what it is, because I don't know all of the possibilities that are there for you, but something is definitely going to change. And it always happens. Every time we tap into that field of possibilities and open the door, and we're willing to accept change, which is the big thing, change will happen. But a lot of people will say, oh, I'm ready to change, I want change, but there's something in them that is afraid of it and won't accept it. For them, the change, if they get a change, it won't stay. They'll revert back because of their fear. So if you're really ready for change and you can really accept change, oh yeah, you tap into that field and you're going to get a change, and it's always for the better, always.
Well, I may have to disagree with you right now. Obama promised us change, and what he didn't tell you is that, he told you the truth. He told you the truth. Yeah, I'm a Soviet trained change agent. That's exactly what Obama is. He was selected because he's the perfect New World Order leader. He's black, he's white, he's Muslim, he's Christian, and he's got Jewish grandparents. What a perfect New World Order leader. No wonder they made him head of the Security Council of the UN.
And he's got all of that. But the change he promised was not coming from the mind of God.
No, it's not, and this is basically, we're seeing what happened to Russia happen in America right now. They've already killed more people. I also have a theory here I'd like your opinion on. I think it's quite possible that we could have been in Armageddon for the last 100 years, because 2,000 years ago, Jesus predicted the mark of the beast, told us that we wouldn't be able to buy or sell without it. They got commercials for it. It's called HealthLink. George used to forget his medication, but now we got this little chip, and it tells him what to do, when to take it, and how much is in his bank account. It lets the doctor know how much is in his bank account.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you with that, Clayton. I think that that's so dangerous. And what's scary is, what if you need a surgery? And you don't know what they're doing when you're under that anesthetic. You don't know. What are they put? And those little chips are tiny. But man, oh man, the information that can be gleaned from them, that's very scary to me. And that's a coming thing. That is a coming thing.
It is the mark of the beast, in my opinion. But it's what have we been in Armageddon for the last 100 years? I've got some other what ifs I'd like to ask you too. What we've had over 1 billion people killed by their own governments and wars in the last 100 years. Maybe the press just ignored the fact that we've been in Armageddon for the last 100 years.
Well, there's certainly no time limit on Armageddon. We're not given a date when it starts. We're not given a date when it ends. And I think that, so much of the Bible, there's a lot in the Bible I feel that's literal, but there's an awful lot that's metaphor, that is symbolic, that is layered. And Armageddon I think, could be a very big metaphor for what we've been going through and what we're going to be going through. And there's no timeline on that. It doesn't say it starts at this date and it ends at this date. It doesn't say that. So are we in it? Sure. Going to go on for a while? Sure. Hasn't been going on for a while? Oh yeah.
I've said they've really refined the art of slavery to the point that the slaves don't know they're slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Ha! I'm not a slave. I can go get in my pickup and go get a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stop over at the gas station and drop off your donation. Make
Mm-hmm.
your tithe.
Mm-hmm.
It's enslavement of it's called financial enslavement. I mean, we pay for the government that we deserve.
This was predicted too about this financial enslavement and how it would get so bad that the people of light, the light bearers, the children of God would have to spend so much time and effort working just to have the money to keep going because everything would become so costly. And that way, that would also keep us down. Because you have to have the necessities first. You have to have food, shelter, and clothing first. And if they can keep us busy, keep the wheels turning, just getting our food, shelter, and clothing, and not have time for anything else, not have time to meditate, not have time to pray, not have time to get together, not have time to consider what's going on. That keeps us in the separation.
That's part of what this is the drawback. Every weapon is a double-edged sword. Everything that they use against us is a double-edged sword. The internet is part of that. And while the internet gives us the information we need and gives us the ability to communicate beyond what the mainstream media, there's only a half a dozen corporations that control all of your media. Bain Capital is one of them, promoting the Republican side. We spent, by the way, we're spending almost $1 billion of your donations to the Republican or Democratic Party. Americans have donated almost $1 billion to that. Where did that money go?
Good question.
I'll tell you. It went to the media companies. It went to ABC. It went to CBS. It went to CNN. It went to Clear Channel to promote your rulers. We've got people out there like Gary Johnson that you don't hear about that would legalize hemp, that would end the banking, and he's a libertarian, but you won't hear about him on ABC or NBC.
I had a friend. She was American, but she and her husband had a house in Baja, down in Mexico. And she said that when they were down there, she said the news was so different. She said there is so much control of the news in this country that they would get more news down in Baja than we get here, because it was so controlled here. And I found that pretty interesting. I mean, we're talking about Mexico, which is kind of a third world country in some areas anyway, getting more information and better news reporting than what we're getting here.
They are. I get a lot of my information from overseas. We get more truth from Russia today than we do from American news sources.
Uh-huh. Yeah, very interesting. There's just a lot going on with our media that we don't recognize.
We just had somebody in the chat room say, I don't understand why Gary Johnson isn't in the presidential debates. Because they're scared to death of him.
A third party is very threatening, and we really, really need it so badly. We just need it. But how's that going to happen? You know, very threatening. They don't want that.
And it's hard to vote for somebody if you don't know they exist. When I was working with Charles Collins in 1996, we were at the Republican convention, and he stood up to tell all the Republican delegates that we could buy back the Federal Reserve for $500 million and wipe out a $6 trillion debt. That debt has gone to about $15 trillion. Federal Reserve is still here, and you never heard of Charles Collins because every time he got up on stage to speak at a Republican convention, they turned the microphones off, and every cameraman took a break and pointed the cameras at the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you vote? How many Americans are going to vote for Gary Johnson if nobody knows he exists?
That's right. That's right.
Now, the answers to this, and this kind of gets back to the whole Liberty Village concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of if you go out and talk to your neighbors. I've said the Liberty Village could be done in your backyard. You're not a gardener, maybe your neighbor is. Plant gardens. If we can grow our own food and generate our own power with solar, with wind, everything God gave us, we don't need the government. We don't need the churches. We don't need anything. All we need is our neighbors. Now, the whole civilization started with the villages, and they had a form of government called the ton. That was 10 families that were working together to keep that community safe.
Well, it's interesting to me, this is a bit off the subject, but now I've lived in the Southwest for many, 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 many years, where we have so many sunny days. Why is it that we don't see solar panels on every house? Why is it that, and the wind blows here all the time, a lot, why is it that we don't see wind generators? Why is it in Arizona that every house doesn't have a solar panel? And that's conditioned thinking.
Right.
People are, it's too easy to get that electricity.
That's right. Just flip that switch. Don't go out and get on your roof. You might fall off.
Yeah.
Now, and Doug, let's see, Brad Pitt actually went to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and helped one block there put on solar panels. If every home did that, you wouldn't be sending money to the Rothschilds. You wouldn't be sending money to the Rockefellers. You wouldn't be paying for that oil used to run those generators. And the utility companies would have to pay you. We've set all that up.
That's right.
And that is why they were scared of Liberty Villages. That's why that creating a magnetic generator is against the law. That violates national security, because your whole national security has been built on the oil companies.
Right. And we just, we just are crazy if we don't make some changes here. We're just crazy. And there's simple, easy ways to do it. It doesn't have to be completely done 100% all at once. You can start doing something and you can build on it and you can do it little by little by little. And we're just crazy to not do it. And most people don't think about, what if the electricity went down? How dependent we are on that. How dependent we are on gas and electricity. We're just so used to having it there, having it available. It would, and there would be extreme riots if all of that went down. Whoa.
Well, hold on just a second. We're almost out of time. Folks, go to freeamerican.com, get this show, forward this show, get the information on the events that are coming up in Austin, and do that.
Thank you.
Let me do this. I want to keep you on for I'm going to keep you on for a couple of more minutes here, and wrap this up a little bit. Let me take off. Okay, we're off of talk show now. All right, and okay, I've got a few more. Minutes here on my recording. My guest is Misa. She's a spiritual medium. You can get to her website from mine, freeamerican.com. And folks, the problem I have, the problem I have, is, and I think we all have this, how do you fight evil without becoming evil? And we also have the problem of how do you maintain a positive attitude if you're surrounded by negativity?
Yeah. Do you want my view on that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I feel that we have to put some time and focus in on connecting with that spark of God in us. And that is so powerful. When I do that, it puts me into a very different state of consciousness. How do you fight evil without becoming evil? Well, you don't enter the vibratory level that evil is vibrating at. You go beyond it. That's how you fight it without becoming it. Because if you tie into it in your energy field, then you and it are the same. You have to raise your own vibratory level so that you are not connected with it. And that, when you do that, that will also change your experience. If evil is down here vibrating at, say, I'm pretending here, okay, say a 7, and I get my vibratory rate up to a 9, I have literally disappeared to the 7 vibration. It can't find me because I'm on a whole different level of vibration. My experience at a 9 is not going to have 7 in it because I'm on a whole different level of experience because I'm on a different level of vibration. So
what do you do? What do you do if you're with someone, you're trying to work something, because this is happening all over the country. I mean, the financial pressures are breaking people up. They're breaking couples up. But what do you do if you're if the people around you are negative or just can't be happy? I mean, how do you deal with that? I mean, you can't make somebody be happy. You can't make somebody be happy with themselves.
That's right.
So I mean, the only thing I can figure to do is simply walk away. Walk away and or don't allow the negativity within my sphere of influence. which may only be a trailer, or it may be nationwide.
That's right. I think sometimes that's what you do have to do. You know, you're right. You cannot make somebody happy. And it's nobody's responsibility to make somebody else happy. It's our responsibility to make ourselves happy. And sometimes, if you know, I guess if you're a saint, which I'm not, but I guess if you're a saint, you can be in that realm of negativity and still keep that peace within you, still keep that consciousness level within you. But when we're not at that level, negativity can really become a burden on us, and it can pull us back. At that point, I think there's such a thing as self-enlightenment. You take yourself out of that situation. Because while we're in the process of getting so strong in that level of consciousness, of being in that energy of truth and peace and purity all the time, we have to protect that consciousness. And sometimes we have to just disengage and let that situation go and take care of ourselves. That's how I see it. And keep working on ourselves. You know, keep addressing what's inside of us. Keep going inward and finding that spark inside of us and allowing ourselves to take these next steps. And that takes some faith, Clayton. You know, there's sometimes when Spirit will say, this is your next step, and I kind of think, boy, you know, that's like standing on the edge of a cliff and taking that step off that cliff and not knowing if there's going to be anything there to hold you up. It can get a little scary. It takes faith. Now, every time I do it, I get held up. You know, something holds me up. But to do it sometimes it's like, okay, I have to surrender my fear. I have to surrender my needing to control. I have to surrender my needing to know what it's going to be or what it's going to look like. And I have to step out in faith.
Now, how do you determine? Now, I've talked with Jake about this a lot, and Dr. Jake Wade, who will be at the meeting on Sunday. It's how do we? He has mentioned that some people that got involved with me may have had ulterior motives and may have been just pure evil.
Uh-huh.
He not necessarily a possession, not just an evil person. I mean, I people that I've met, and I got that impression of,
Mm-hmm.
especially from their actions. And then there are people that actually mean the best, that probably don't have an evil bone in their body, that simply make mistakes. They make mistakes, or they're afraid, or they're doing something that's not positive.
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine what that what the dividing line is, or what is it? Ignorance? Is it fear? Is it selfishness? Or is there something evil lurking around that is influencing people, like possession?
For me, it's about being able to identify the vibrations, the energy around somebody. Now, I've had a lot of training as a psychotherapist, so I have also those kinds of benchmarks when I can look at a situation or a person and be able to say, well, that pretty much looks like this or this or this in a psychological vein. But when we're talking about in more spiritual areas, it's about being able to determine what the vibration is or isn't. And that has come to me through just years of experimentation, really. And the more I go